Hi, Emmett. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. I'm good. How are you?
Good. You guys, I have Blair's cousin, Emmet Sheehan, with me, and we've been playing this. Emmett has this crazy schedule now because he is in the Major League Baseball with the Dodgers. He just recently got drafted by the Dodgers as a junior in college, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is crazy, awesome. We're so proud of you, and we've been having so much fun watching your journey. And that's really what I want to talk about your journey today because I think it's really inspiring to people, like knowing you and hearing, like we were just talking before, how I like last time I remember going to one of your basketball games. I think you were in middle school, and because we were living in California, you're on the East Coast, and you were playing basketball and you were like, what I remember, you were obsessed with basketball. Basketball was everything. You loved it. You
Yeah.
weren't even playing baseball. And then I think we went back a few years later to Lyle's wedding, and you shot up to be taller than Blair. Like, how tall are you now? Like, six
I was
four?
6'5". Yeah.
6'5". Oh my gosh. Like Blair's 6'3". So you were taller than Blair. Your voice had changed. And I'm like, what happened to the to the little guy? And it's I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes like no time has passed, but like a lot of time has passed. And
Definitely.
we're so proud of you. And it's been really fun hearing your journey. And I feel like I was thinking about it. Like I said, so you were in middle school playing basketball,
hmm
not even playing baseball, correct?
I was playing baseball at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
But
not.
it
Yeah. I
wasn't
wasn't
like a
like that
thing.
serious about it though. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
then, because basketball, I just remember was like your thing.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I knew, you just like excelled in baseball.
Yeah. Basketball's probably still my favorite sport. Like if I had a choice, I'd probably pick basketball. But yeah, I wasn't good enough by far. So, but that's
Really?
yeah. It was a big milestone for me when I got to finally be taller than Blair. I was waiting for that for a while. So
That's so funny. I'll let him know. Well, he'll hear this, but
yeah.
that's funny. I know Blair, the first grandson. I know that was like always a big thing. Like, and you're the youngest grandson out of
Yeah.
there's how many of you guys? There's like
There's a lot. I don't
yeah,
even
there's
know
a
the
lot
number.
of there's like 12 plus of you guys.
Yeah.
But it's always fun, like holidays. I know Christmas going and watching like the family slideshows for 24 hours.
Yeah.
We're
Sean
always
repeat.
fun.
Yeah. That was
um,
great.
but so let's go back. I know, were sports always like a priority in your life, or was it like school? I know you're like a boy
Mhm.
growing up. Was sports always like your main focus?
Yeah, absolutely. I never really liked school all that much. I mean, I did it because I knew it was really important to my mom. So if I didn't get good grades, I wasn't out there playing basketball or baseball. But thankfully, I did get decent grades growing up. So was able to go to BC, which was great. The whole process with high school was a long thing, and baseball recruiting in general isn't ever like a straight line. Like everyone has their own like weird path where some stuff doesn't work out, and you got to just keep trying, and then it works out eventually. So yeah, grades were school was definitely a big part of my life. I'm still in school actually at BC. I have a little bit of classes to finish up, but yeah, I'm hopefully putting those off a little bit until I can figure the baseball thing out. So
It's so amazing. I know. So I know your mom was like a huge advocate about making sure you got your education. Was being a pro athlete always your goal and your like what you had your sight on?
yeah, I always since I can remember, I wanted to be in the MLB. It was
Okay.
like
Oh,
always
really?
like yeah, my dream kind of. And then I didn't really like basketball too much growing up, but then once I forget, I don't know what happened, but I was like 12 or 11 years old and I started to love it. So that kind of took over for a little bit, but baseball was always number one. I always
Okay.
knew like I was better at baseball than I wasn't physical enough for football. I wasn't really, talented enough for basketball, but I could like play baseball. I could throw the ball pretty well. So I always knew like I could have a shot eventually, and I kind of just kept with it. So
Oh, I love
definitely.
that. That's cool. I guess I didn't realize that. So you I know too, like you didn't really have like the traditional like high school experience, I would say. Well,
Mm.
I mean, I shouldn't say that, but it was more like I know you went to high school, correct? And then you went to a boarding school
Yeah.
and you
So
had 6 years of high school. Was that it?
5 years,
5 years?
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a different experience than most kids have. I remember, so I went to public middle school, and the plan was to go to public high school in my town. And then my mom was working in the Bronx, so at the charity called Potts. And then across the street was Fordham University, and our family has ties with Fordham. My dad went to Fordham Law, so a lot of people in our family love Fordham. So I ended up going there to Fordham Prep, the high school that's on campus there for 3 years, and then I was trying to get recruited for baseball, and it wasn't really working out. So it kind of came to a point where I could choose staying at Fordham and maybe, not doing the whole baseball thing, or leave and try to do an extra year and then really commit to the baseball thing and try to get recruited. So that's what I did. And it just, thankfully, it ended up working out pretty quick after that.
Wow. Okay, so you went to sorry, I gotta wrap my head around this. So
Yeah.
you went to public school in your town in Connecticut, and then shortly because your mom worked in the Bronx, you and because you had your ties, you got to go to Fordham High School in the Bronx.
Yep. I went there for my freshman year. Yeah. And
Okay.
sophomore, junior, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, and then but they didn't you weren't playing baseball there.
I was, but I didn't really, I wasn't playing too much on the team. I didn't get that much playing time. And I was kind of, I was always the youngest kid in my grade. So I always knew like doing an extra year was an option. And I actually would have wanted to, at the time, go back to public school and try to do an extra year.
Mhm.
But that didn't work with, I think, the way classes, my credits would have lined up. So I ended up going to Salisbury, which is a boarding school in northwestern Connecticut. And I loved it my 2 years there, and it was great. So
You didn't did you live on campus there or did you go home I forget. Did you go home every night or did you
no,
live there?
I lived there. It was like an hour and a half from my house, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
I could go home on like the weekends if I wanted to, but
Okay.
yeah, I was up there.
And I know like okay, so I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I
Hmm.
like you and your mom are super close.
Yeah,
Like super bonded and you're do you want to talk about your dad?
yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. So your dad is Blair, my husband's uncle, which
Hmm.
Blair and your dad were super close. Like your Blair always
Yeah.
talks about him like he was like his brother. They were 10 years apart. And you and Blair have such a special bond. Like Blair is just like takes you under your
Hmm.
Blair takes you under his wing and granted the distance, but he's like, he's like I have to give Emmett everything, just
Yeah.
cuz your dad was there and your dad passed away right before you were born.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you and your mom were like super bonded and
Hmm.
have you had like I mean, I know you probably have had like a lot of male figures because I know your mom like also surrounded you around like your family. Like you had
Yeah.
your mom's family, you had your dad's family, everyone just loved on you. So how
Hmm.
was that for you too, like growing up? Like
It was great. I mean, I honestly, so yeah, my dad passed away like 3 months before I was born, but I never really like felt like I was missing out on anything, you know?
I love that.
Um, because well, like the Sheehan family is super
Yeah.
close and huge, and and then the Fergus family, my mom's side, is
Mm,
also the same way. They're awesome. So I was always around people. My cousins, two families of my cousins on the Fergus side live in my town, so we were
right.
always like, hanging out with each other. I'm an only child, but I felt like, it almost felt like I had siblings too. So um, yeah, no, it was great. And Blair like absolutely did take me under his wing too. Like I'm still a Chargers fan because of Blair. And they're not even in San Diego.
Wait, how
So
are you a Chargers fan? I thought he was a Giants fan. We've had this rivalry going on forever because I'm a Patriot fan and he's a Giant fan.
he probably still roots for the Giants too. But I mean, I did too because we were all in New York. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember picking it up from him when I was like 8 years old maybe, and they
Aw.
were good at the time. But yeah, it's been 12 years of not many wins. So
Right,
but
I
yeah,
know.
no, it's been great, and I've been super close to my mom, which I'm really thankful to have her. It wouldn't be like anything like the way it is now without her. So definitely.
Right. I know. So it's always like a blessing, and I guess you get to live like through your family, like of how your dad was and who he was. So I love
Yeah.
that. And your mom is amazing. She's just badass woman, just like,
Mm,
like, no, you're gonna do this, and she's like kept you on this path. And
yeah.
I know Blair like talks to her all the like a lot just to like check in with how you're doing. And but so yeah, so you went to high school, and then but you were playing on like premier, was it like premier teams? Because if you weren't playing baseball really like your first 3 years in high school, you were still playing though, right? You had your
Yeah.
like premier leagues or whatever they call
Yeah.
them.
So it's summer baseball is how it works.
Okay.
So it's like you have your summer team, and I kind of first couple of years I kind of struggled to find a summer team that I really liked. And that's a big thing because you have to have coaches you trust and like an organization you trust. And some of them, a lot of them out there are just kind of not money grabs, but like they're really
Mm-hmm.
expensive and they go to all the big tournaments and
Mm-hmm.
promise you all these big things, but they can't really follow through on those promises. And then I found the Connecticut Blue Jays, which is
Mm-hmm.
an organization in Farmington, Connecticut, and they really Coach Mack uh, is was the coach who like really sent everything the right way in my baseball career.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I really didn't know if I was going to be recruited to play college baseball.
Mm-hmm.
We would sit down. I remember like me and my mom would sit down with Excel spreadsheets of every like low D1 and high D3 school that you know coaches' phone numbers and emails that I could try to
Wow.
contact them with, and we'd sit down and just knock a couple out, every couple nights. And I wasn't getting much back. I had some teams that were it seemed like they're interested in me, but nothing really concrete. And then once I was with the Blue Jays, it was pretty quick after I decided to reclass in high school. They had BC come to my game and they offered me like a week later, and I just took it on the spot because I knew like my mom said, you're going to go to a good academic college. And I knew I wanted to go to a good baseball school. And that was the best of both worlds. So
Right. I do
definitely.
remember that. She was like not letting up on your schooling.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you knew like so your primary focus at that time was to get into a college to then eventually get you into the pros. So like you needed a coach to basically help you map that out to get you on that trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking about, getting drafted yet. Obviously, like that was a dream for me, but it's
Yeah.
so few people get drafted and,
Yeah.
some people get drafted out of high school, but I really had no chance at that. And then I was just hoping to go to a good baseball school and, if I played well, things could work out. So thankfully it did, but I wasn't sure that this was going to happen. So I was like happy to go to BC either way,
Yeah.
definitely.
Awesome. And what was that experience like for you going to Boston College?
It was awesome. I mean, I've never like just having that group of guys like that to hang out with every day, to go to the field with every day was unreal. And the coaching staff, everybody put so much time and effort into it because, it's a Northeast school and in the ACC and like what a lot of people think is the best conference in the country for college baseball. You're at a disadvantage being in the Northeast because you can't play all year round like,
Right.
Florida State or Miami, something like that. But people really just it's the hardworking way like the Northeast people are. I feel like, especially
Mm-hmm.
Boston, like it's just
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna find a way to get it done. So it was awesome.
My people. I'm from
Yeah,
Massachusetts. I love that. So, did you like the city of Boston?
I loved it.
Being a New Yorker.
Yeah. No, I loved it. There's definitely pros and cons to Boston and New York, but I
Okay.
I think Boston was definitely it feels like home now a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
so that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. And I was able to go back for this fall after playing like my first pro ball season. I spent about a month there, finishing up a couple of classes and just hanging out with my friends. So that was great.
I love it. So, do you? But when you go home now, you don't go there. You go back to Connecticut, right? Or are you still
Yeah.
like trying to finish classes in between,
Hmm.
like training and all that too? Or are you doing that online?
So I took online classes to start last semester. I wasn't sure the exact date that I would be home. So if I was home early enough, I thought that I could go back to school and take a full schedule, like in-person classes, which would have been great, but I wasn't able to do that. We have this thing called Instructs here, so like the instructional league. So I was asked to go to that, which was great. I had a great time, but yeah, it made it so that I couldn't take a full schedule of classes.
I can
So I ended up
imagine.
doing online asynchronous, just one class, and
Okay.
then went up there to finish it. So yeah, it was
What,
good.
so you're doing one class online while you're also training every day and like doing all your stuff?
That's what I
That's
was doing
hardcore,
last summer. Yeah,
Emmett.
I'm not
Yeah,
doing it
that's
right now.
crazy. Okay, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
crazy because you just gotta like, I would think have to be like so focused, especially because we haven't even like told people what
Hmm.
position you are in baseball. And so Emmett is a
Yeah.
pitcher,
Hmm.
which like is phenomenal. And you're known for your fastball. Is that right? Your
Yeah,
fastball?
I guess so.
Yeah, like I think you were in high school with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, correct?
Somewhere around there. I was probably throwing like topping out at like 93, 92 or 93 in high school, but like that was like still crazy for me because it took a really long time to get there and I was never like I don't know, and Little League I threw hard and then going up into high school I wasn't the hardest thrower on my team, so it took a while, but yeah, like especially once I got into college with all the really good coaching there, that's what really like I saw my fastball and everything go to the next level for sure.
Is that, I mean, again, I'm not that proficient
Hmm.
in baseball, but is that like common to have like a 90-mile-per-hour fastball in high school? Because I would think that you're still even kind of developing at that age. And I know in talking to Blair, he's like, no, he's just like a freak because his body, like you're, he's just, because you're super tall and
Yeah,
they just say it's actually he always says it's just such a natural way that you throw that even people are like amazed because it's such a natural way that you throw.
I like to
So,
hope so. I mean, yeah, I it's like all mechanical stuff and just kind of I like to think of it as like feel. Like more of like I'm sure you have felt this like somewhere in martial arts in your training or whatever, but where it's just like you stop thinking about your mechanics and all the coaching you've gotten and it's kind of just like feeling the way, I don't know, an athlete feels. You have to feel smooth and like fast, I guess. That's how I think of
I think that's actually really brilliant because I actually think back to when I was playing soccer in college and
it.
versus when I was playing in high school. And when I was playing in high school, I could just go and play and like I just did my thing. I didn't have like the coaches would say whatever, but it was just I did my thing like and I
Yeah.
just excelled. But then when I got to college, I started getting like the talk and like do this
Mhm.
do that and like it was like so structured that that's like kind of when I would get in my head. So I actually really love hearing that you go on feeling and kind of take that, you practice it but then you kind of let it go to kind of go on that feeling. So I think that's actually really brilliant because I do remember back there, I think it was your freshman year in college, and it was like your first few games, and we were of course following every game, and I think you were
Hmm.
starting,
Yeah.
and
That was my
then
sophomore year.
okay, and then
Yeah.
you didn't start, and I
Yeah.
think too, like, were you starting at that time to start like questioning what
Oh
what
yeah.
was like what your path was or what you were doing?
Yeah, there were actually two separate. So I think you might have actually been talking about my freshman year because I
Okay.
struggled my freshman year,
Mm-hmm.
starting off, and then my coach just kept telling me like stay on it, like you're gonna get an opportunity, like I know you're working hard, so keep going. And then I kept trying, and I was getting really frustrated because I wasn't pitching that much, and I thought I should have been. And then I got to the end of the year, and I ended up pitching pretty well, and ended up pitching
Mm-hmm.
in some pretty high like pressure situations.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a long time coming. And then sophomore year, I was, kind of given the starting role for there's three weekend starters, and I was the Saturday starter. So
Oh,
kind of like the number two starter
yeah.
on the
And
team.
I would think that would be a better day. Saturday is like a better
Yeah, right.
day.
No, yeah. Fridays are fun because it's a night game and you're pitching
Okay.
under the lights, so that's the
Mm-hmm.
best part. But
Mm-hmm.
Saturday is fun too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was kind of putting that role, and my first three starts were really bad. So like some of the worst I've ever pitched. And I'd never really thought about like the mental side of baseball before that. And then my coach sat me down and was like, "Listen, like we're gonna figure this out. Like
Oh.
we're gonna get through it. Like." whatever we have to do, I'll sit with you here for an hour every day. We just have to talk about, mental stuff, cues, whatever. So he actually gave me some really good stuff about, resetting on the mound, separating every pitch. So you don't really, if you throw a
Mm.
bad pitch last time, you don't want to be thinking about it on the next one, or throw a bad inning, you don't want to be thinking about it the next inning. So that was a lot of stuff that I kind of had to work through. And then I think that set me up really well to be, that was the summer we went home for COVID. So
Okay.
I think that set me up really well for, having a summer where I could really just work hard, not think about the outside stuff, and try to put myself in a good position for the next year.
I love that actually because that was kind of the start, really. Wasn't that really like the start of you then going to the kind of like the next level too, right? Because it was during like I don't even think you had being drafted or going to the pros at that point, and it was really through. I mean, did you even have a season at that point? Because then the next thing I knew, you like got an agent, and you're like gonna like, what were you like
Yeah,
number 50 in the draft or something like that?
I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
don't I
you were
don't
like, and
remember
then you were
those.
like drafted. It was like, and like all you had all these teams like looking at you, and it was like, and then I was like, wait, I thought like he was still like trying to figure, because I could
Yeah.
really resonate when you were going through those struggles. Blair was telling me, and I'm like, I was like, tell him to stick through because I had the same thing when I went to college and I was playing. I played at a Division 1
Hmm.
university. It was like like you're away from home. I mean, you had that experience of like in high school being away, so that's probably good. But I was away for the first time, um, playing soccer. I mean, which playing baseball is probably similar in that you're
Yeah.
training like 20 plus hours a week. You have to train, go to school, and do keep up with all your schoolwork. So it was just,
Hmm.
and then you're traveling. I mean, in baseball, you're probably traveling way more because you have, I mean, I don't know how many games you have in a
Yeah. We
season.
have 56 in the college
That's
schedule.
crazy. And like you're
So
traveling for half of those.
yeah, I'd say we didn't really have any series that we could drive to, so we were flying to pretty much
Oh,
every weekend
wow.
series. Yeah.
Wow. So, right, because you're like the Northeast, right? So you have to
Yeah. It's
go
pretty far.
to,
Closest is, I think, Pitt or Virginia Tech maybe, but I'm
okay.
not sure.
How do you balance? Well, I mean, you're still kind of balancing it all, like now being on a
Hmm.
whole different level and trying to graduate. But how did you balance like your training, being away from home, and training, and having
Yeah.
like this thing that you're like, oh, I'm gonna like go be
Yeah.
drafted.
It was like, yeah, it was definitely a priorities thing. And like you get to college, and most kids it's like your first taste of freedom, I guess. So you're trying to like, test it out, see what you can do, but you have to kind of realize early that you have to lock in. And
Yeah.
it's not like all fun and games. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
business, especially at the next level. So if you're not performing, you're just not going to get drafted.
Right.
And also if you don't, try hard in the classroom or really put in time with that, you're not going to set yourself up well for after college.
Right.
So that was definitely things I had to think about. And as time went on, I'd say my priorities shifted. Like, I don't know. School was definitely always, my mom always made sure that was number one.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely baseball took over a lot of other things in my life. Especially like you said, over that COVID summer when things started to take a little turn. That was really when I started to, you know, set my priorities on baseball and say, listen, like I'm gonna get drafted next year. Because the draft was kind of a wake up point for me.
Mm-hmm.
The previous draft, because I realized like I have a year left and I'm not in a
Oh,
great spot. So if I
yeah.
really want to make it happen, like this is the time right now. So that was probably when things changed.
So you had a mind shift there, and then what were some of the things that you were like physically doing to make that
Hmm.
happen?
So yeah, before that, I was doing our team lifts for DC. Like I would go to all of them and do whatever they had us do. But I really just started to work out a lot more. I read this book from a Navy SEAL called "Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins,
Mm-hmm.
and that really kind of shifted the way I saw hard work and mental training and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that was a big point for me, where I started to kind of go to the field on my own, run on my own, lift a lot more than I was before, and just start putting in like, I just started to think I'm going to work harder than everybody else so I can, put myself in that spot. Because if I don't, I know I'm going to regret it. So
Oh, I'm so proud of you, Emmett. That's so awesome. I love that. That
thank you.
makes me so excited. I just love that. Um, so you then got you started excelling and doing all that stuff, and because I feel like it, like the point of when I heard you wanted to do that and go for that goal, it was like a matter of like 6 months to where it
Yeah.
just happened so fast. And
Yeah.
like, what were you like freaking out, or like how were you handling, because I know at that time like the Padres were looking at you, and
Hmm.
it was kind of like a bunch of different teams, and how to stay grounded
Yeah.
during that, and also like be motivated on college, because you're also, were you in season at that time too,
Yes, I was.
staying
Yeah.
focused on that?
So yeah, it was weird. It was definitely, it was quick, but I'd say like my mental, the way I approached the game mentally shifted a lot during that time. So I was always like pretty talented. Like I could strike people out and stuff, but I would like, my problem was, walking people and, giving up stupid hits and stuff like that. So I was, always pretty confident on the mound, but I would always have a point where I could, snap and go into like freak out mode or get nervous or whatever. But after that summer where I really like changed and started to, work a little bit harder, I kind of felt like the confidence came from that on the mound. So there was really no doubt in my mind that like I could handle whatever got thrown at me out there. And that definitely came from like preparation. And I don't think I would have had that at all without,
All right.
working like I did that summer.
And so then you got drafted by the LA Dodgers
Hmm.
last summer, right? Or last,
Yeah, last July.
it was last July. And then you went out to, you came out to California, right?
Yeah,
You were in LA and you started your first season,
yeah.
for the Dodger, corporation, right?
Organization, yeah.
Organization, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. No,
All the
it's all the weird like
lingo.
jargon and stuff. But yeah, no. So there's the way it works is like the lowest level is the Arizona League for us
Hmm.
because half the teams are split into Arizona and Florida for spring training.
Okay.
So our base when we do anything is in Arizona. It's at our
Okay.
spring training complex.
So
But so yeah, I went
how
to.
many levels are there
Mhm.
total?
There is so these are the Arizona League and
Yeah.
then low A, high A, double A, and triple A, and then the majors. So
Okay. So there's, I mean, that's like a lot of different levels. So where are
yeah.
you at currently in that?
So last year I started one game in the Arizona League, and then after that, I got sent to Low A in Rancho Cucamonga,
Mm-hmm.
California, which
Mm-hmm.
is awesome. So that was
Mm-hmm.
cool to be there for like the first real pro ball, team affiliate experience they call it. So I was there for about I want to say like 5 weeks, maybe close to a month and a half.
Did your
And
mom
then
come out? Was your mom out for any of those games?
she
Like
couldn't
for,
come out to those
okay.
games, but
Okay. And
yeah,
Blair didn't make it, right? Because I know we were
I
trying to
don't
make
think
it
so.
to a game. No, we
Yeah,
were
no,
trying to
it
make
just
it
didn't
to a
work
game.
out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
It's tough when you only pitch one day a week because then it's got to work for everybody else. But that's why I kind of get it when it doesn't happen. But
No, we're
so yeah, after that I got sent to Michigan for the last like week of the season. I got one appearance there, which is high A for our team.
so what wait, what is Michigan? High A?
Yeah, high A.
Okay. And how
The
did that
Loons.
go?
It
How
was
did that
good.
go?
It went all
Okay.
right.
Okay.
I pitched well in the first inning. I got to face my college teammate Sal, who was Sal Frelick. He was drafted in the first round this year by the Brewers. So he was like, a big time recruit coming out of college, and I know I faced him a ton of times. So
Yeah.
he's a really good hitter, and I was able to strike him out, which was really cool.
Oh, that's fun.
But it was also just awesome to play him. But
Hmm.
yeah, so the first inning went well, and then the second inning, I kind of had one of those, walks. I kind of just kept throwing balls, and I couldn't really get it back under control. So I got pulled in the second inning, but it was good to be there. It was good to get an experience. I think that was kind of the whole point was like, go test the waters a little bit and just
Right.
like get your feet under you up there. So it was awesome. I like it up there a lot.
Perfect. Of course, and that's probably where you're aiming to go next.
I hope so.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
that's where I'm hoping to start the season.
So you're now back in Arizona at training camp.
Yep,
And what's that like?
it's awesome. I mean, it's like we wake up and we go to the field at maybe 8:30. We pretty much just do whatever we need to do for the day. So, stretch, throw, and then lift, and then do your arm care routine, and then you're out of there. So it's
Oh,
quick
really?
days. Yeah. We haven't started actual spring training yet. That starts, I think, March 1st. Um,
Okay.
so this is kind of like, I don't think a lot of teams do this where the Dodgers allow us to come back they allowed people to be here the whole off season. So they'd pay for you to live here and, they'd pay for your food at the field or whatever. So that's really cool that they let everybody come and do that. So yeah, we just go there for a few hours every day. We're done by, I'd say around 1 o'clock most days.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it's pretty
Long
nice.
days. Well,
I
but
like
but
it.
still, like you're there at 8 a.m. and then you're going to 1 a.m. and just lifting and training and just getting
Yeah,
prep for the preseason or
pretty
spring
much.
training. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I wanted to make it out here definitely because, the way the Northeast is, it's really hard to throw.
Right.
If you're throwing outside, it's going to be way too cold. And if you're throwing inside, you're throwing into a net and you have no idea how far it's going or
Right.
where it's
And then
going. So,
injuries too, right? Because
yeah,
it's like cold trying to warm up the body.
exactly.
Um, so is it all levels are back in Arizona or just certain levels are in Arizona? So you're
It's a
all like
bunch of
one big
guys.
team. Okay.
There's probably like 40, maybe 50 guys out here right now. And they're from all different levels. I don't know if there are any big leaguers here, but I think there might be. But we were on the major league side. There's like two sides to our complex, so that was cool to
Mm.
be able to do all our stuff over there. But yeah, no, there's guys from Double A, guys from Triple A, guys from A ball, guys who aren't even on an affiliate team. So everybody's here.
Do you get along with or is like everybody, is it competitive or is it like people supportive? Like how is it? Because I mean, you're all kind of
Hmm.
trying to like get,
Yeah.
there's only so many spots, right? So,
Hmm. Yeah, no, I kind of thought it'd be that way too, where like, people stepping on everybody's necks to get to the next level or whatever, but
mhm.
that's not really how it is. Everybody supports each other. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed, which is really cool. And I don't know, that could be a testament to, the Dodgers just drafting people with high character, drafting people who are like-minded. But it's also just could be, baseball people in general, I found are just like all pretty similar. They're all good people. So, yeah, no, everybody's great. I get along with everybody out here for sure.
You're well, you're just such a likable person. Look at you're such like you're like, yeah, it's awesome. You're just such an easy like person to get along with. So it's you're
Thank
just
you.
such a great attitude. I love it. It's so you got drafted and so now what so you were saying you want to go to high like so the goal right now is high A for the season. And
Yeah, definitely.
how many people are like get so like when you go like nobody knows where they're going. You're
Yeah,
just like you're and then they'll assign you like after spring
spring
season,
training.
spring
Yeah,
training.
pretty
Sorry, I
much.
can tell
They
my
haven't
lack
told
of
me anything. I don't think anybody else knows anything about where they're going or anything. So, yeah, you kind of just have to wait and see. I think a lot of it is like also how you perform in spring training. So, like, this is probably a big time for me to, show that I deserve to be there. But yeah, no, everything's up in the air at this point.
how do you prepare for that?
You kind of just have to not even think about it. I don't
Mm.
even like, really think about where I'm going. I just think about the next day or the next, throw, whatever I need to do to kind of, stay in the moment. And because whenever I get too far ahead of myself, it's just not helpful for me at all. And I think way too much.
I think that's like a great point altogether because even myself, not even like dealing with professional sports, but even just in life in general, just being present and being in the moment and not really worrying about what could happen or because if you're not present, it's not going to even really matter like
Yeah,
what
exactly.
happens. So
Definitely.
I love that. Um, I have to ask this question, and Blair will probably like shoot me, but do you have a girlfriend?
I do not have a girlfriend
No, not
now.
focused, right? You're just
No.
like training, don't have time.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to ask
Yeah, that's all
it.
right.
Well, I love this conversation, Emmett, everything about it.
Yeah.
We are so, so proud of you.
Thank you.
We're cheering you on. And yeah, if maybe for spring training, because Arizona is close to us, we will keep. I know it's really
That'd be
hard to get
awesome.
a hold of you because you'll be like, yeah, I have a game. I'm pitching tonight.
Yeah. I'm terrible with texting and everything. I'm so bad with it. So
We get the
yeah.
info from your mom. We get it from
I'll
her.
be
So
better. I will.
no, but we would love to come see you, and we're cheering you on, and we're like I said, we're so so proud of you, and yeah, you're so mature and like shit, like just keep
Thank
doing
you.
what you're doing. Actually, that was one other question. Do the coaches do they so knowing where you want to go, does the coaching for the Dodgers like your high school coach, do they really work with you to get you to that level?
Oh yeah, definitely. They are, 100% focused on you. Like every day they show up, it's what do you need? Like, what are we working on today? How are we getting better today? So everything is like very focused. It's really hard to not get better out here,
I
which
love
is
that.
really nice.
Yeah.
Because at home, they're still calling you all the time and keeping up with you and putting stuff. We have an app that kind of everything goes through. So putting, workouts or throwing on your app and you can just follow it along. It's really easy. But being out here where they're seeing you and they can make sure you're doing everything right, it's awesome. There's nothing like it. So
I love
definitely.
that. I'm glad. And I feel like, I was saying when you got drafted, I was like, oh, George, your dad is like, I feel like he's guiding you. And I do feel that, it's like he's with you and he'd be so proud. And Gramps too.
Thank you.
Like, oh my God, you're
Yeah.
living Gramps dreams right now.
Yeah.
And just for everybody, Gramps is Emmett and Blair's grandfather who passed away a few years ago, but he was a huge baseball fan, a huge fan of you, and just
Yeah.
like
He'd
just
probably wish I was on the Yankees, but
he would,
yeah,
he definitely would. But I think wasn't there the Yankees were looking at you too, like because we were like, oh
a
my
little bit.
God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It was talking them. So yeah,
I
that would have
love
been nice.
that. Yeah, so I know that they're looking down and they're so proud. So
Thank you.
but
Yeah.
like I said, please keep us in the loop because we do want to come watch and maybe we can bring a lot of our friends for a cheering squad for
That'd be
you.
awesome. Yeah. Great.
So I'm so glad we finally got to connect and yeah, just kick ass this season. Go get
Yeah,
it.
me too. I'm glad we got to do this finally. Thank you so
I
much for having
know.
me on.
I look guys, we'll have you back in it. We'll have you back for sure.
Awesome. Sounds
Yes.
good.